but I would like to read a statement that we prepared for tonight. The school board and administration acknowledges the failure of the August 2nd levy. The need for additional revenue still exists. We will continue to educate our students in the best way possible. Our next steps include collecting voter data from the Board of Elections and developing a plan of action. It's our intention to have more conversations with the community, including focus groups and school board work sessions. These conversations around the financial status of the district and possible next steps will not occur tonight. These conversations will occur in September and October. So looking for the voter data to come back. We project in the next couple weeks that will be back, and we'll have more conversations and work session as that time goes. So I just wanted that was shared with all of our parents this past week and was also on the website. I thought it was important to say that tonight. So at this time, I'm going to introduce Mr. Richards to give us a brief update on our curriculum department, especially the social emotional learning that is a big initiative for us. So Jake, you're up.
All right, thank you, Dr. Conkle. Board of Education, hello. I'm very excited to be in front of you in this capacity, first time as a curriculum director. And I'm really excited about some of the stuff that we've got going on in the curriculum department for Ross Local Schools. I will tell you that on a personal note, this is a much different pace than my previous role, and so it's been really a breath of fresh air. So I do appreciate that opportunity. A lot of the thinking I've done over the summer, as I've transitioned from athletics to academics, I've gone internal with it. And so I've thought about my mission as an educator, my purpose as an educator, and so I want to start this particular presentation off with this statement right here. I believe we have a critically important opportunity to guide kids to a better future. And as I started thinking about curriculum, as quasi opposed to athletics, I started to understand that it's all really the same. The goal of athletics is to give kids opportunities to learn through sports. The goal of the curriculum department is to give kids opportunities to learn through the curriculum, obviously, through any academic pursuit that we have, through our extracurriculars, etc. So, with that said, we've started to look at the structure of the curriculum department, and very briefly, because I've been warned on pain of death that I've got 10 minutes and 10 minutes only, We've developed, and we being Tracy Wright and I have developed this curriculum department mission. The Ross Local School District Curriculum Department will implement systems that empower educators to develop each learner academically, socially, and emotionally. And those last two points there are where we're going to focus tonight, are social emotional learning. And that is one of the real hot topics these days. And really, it's nothing new. Our educators, day in and day out, develop our kids socially and emotionally through the content, through the interactions in the hallway, through any time they see them out in public. Our kids develop socially and emotionally, as do our educators. So, with our curriculum department this year, we've outlined 3 focus areas. Now, with some of the the given financial situation and the sheer chaos that, especially at this time of year, our educators experience, we wanted to really narrow our focus, okay, and identify 3 key areas that we can focus on this year and really make big strides. No matter what the financial situation, no matter what the community situation, no matter what, we can make big strides in these 3 areas. First one is the social emotional learning programming of our district. Second one is what's referred to as HQSD, which is high quality student data, and as it pertains to the OTES 2.0 evaluation system. And then finally, the optimization of our resources and our systems as a curriculum department. So really where I want to focus the rest of our time here tonight is on our social emotional learning platform. The main goal of that is to grow our whole student, to address the whole child, K through 12. Here's a quote from a teacher who's using the program that we just adopted for the high school. And once again, this is nothing new. Our educators do this every single day. They work on the whole child, not just on the math, the science, etc. They work on the whole child. So, For our social emotional learning platform, once again, as in a lot of educational systems, you tend to start to grow outward instead of going deep. And so a lot of it becomes surface level. A lot of it, you have all these different initiatives. And our goal this year with our social emotional learning is to really unify it and bring it under the district umbrella and make sure that we've got vertical alignment from K through 12. Okay, so it builds on each other. K builds to first, to second, et cetera. And then we've also got horizontal alignment across our buildings. So from elementary to elementary, even from second grade classroom to the one right next door. Okay, we got to make sure we're horizontally aligned in that way. District building common assessment. And so as we dug a little bit into this, we realized that we were already kind of spreading out, and we had different buildings performing different social emotional learning assessments. We want to make sure that everything we do is CASEL aligned. CASEL identifies 5 competencies in social emotional learning, and it's really become the gold standard in this realm in education. And then finally, we want to make sure we have growth-minded platform development. And so we're going into this with eyes wide open and making sure that the people who matter, the educators, the students, their families, have a voice in what we're doing in terms of social emotional learning, and that we give them a chance to exercise that voice and actually listen to that voice. And so that's what I mean when I say growth-minded platform. We want to make sure we're able to grow and grow together. So nuts and bolts here, and I passed out a document, and it has more detail on it with some of these. But for we've really got two grade bands going on here. We've got kindergarten through 8th grade. Okay, and this is it's because of the timing of this. Okay, so kindergarten through 8th grade adopted a program called Second Step last year. So they've been using it for a year, so they're used to that. Second Step is a curriculum, and as you can see on your document there, it's a curriculum that addresses different areas at the grade levels in terms of those core competencies. Okay, so that's the curriculum that our students that will be embedded in our students' experience. The Panorama Education company is the assessment program that we use. We already have a license. We have an existing license with that. In fact, I had a Zoom call today with somebody from Butler County who's talking about retroactively giving us grant money to pay for that license. So, Jeremy, I know that makes you happy. And so there's a lot of good funding out there for social emotional learning, and we are definitely tapping into that. So Panorama is the company that we will use for our assessment. Kindergarten through 8th grade, they'll take 2 annual assessments. They'll have a fall assessment with the social emotional learning survey, and then a spring assessment. And so we'll get a before picture and an after picture with the curriculum embedded in between. In that curriculum, they will access 20 to 30 minutes a week, depending on the building. 20 to 30 minutes a week of focused social emotional learning. That's it, learning. Then our 9th through 12th grade, we've got an additional component here. I'll explain that here shortly. So you've got the Panorama. They'll do the fall and the spring assessments. And just to describe that in brief, I'm meeting with counselors next week, and we're going to go through a battery of questions, a battery of topics and questions. We're going to choose the ones that we feel are most pertinent to our student population. And we are going to literally build that assessment with the folks at Panorama. Okay, so it's designed to take about 30 minutes. So our kids will go in and they'll answer these questions based on where they are in terms of all those competencies. So they'll do that in the fall, they'll do that in the spring, and then in the middle, at the 9th through 12th grade, we're going to, at least at the start of the year, pilot this. It's a social emotional wellness check-in. Okay, and that's designed to be more frequent. It's going to be every couple of weeks, and our high schoolers through their RAM-Bell will go in, and it's a 3-question survey. How are you feeling? How are you feeling today? How are you feeling in general? And those have emojis connected to them, so you tap into where our kids are. And then, do you need additional resources? And so that gives us the opportunity to have these short cycle check-ins where we get a real-time picture of where our kids are at, especially if there's anybody in crisis. And so our kids can, on that 3rd question, can say, yes, I need additional help. And that will escalate it to building administration, who will then escalate it to some of our wellness folks. school psychologists, school counselors, et cetera. And so we're really getting we hope, a better picture of where our kids are, especially the kids who aren't necessarily talking to people. Okay, so we're really thrilled about the opportunity to use that through ABRE. Now, ABRE we have a district-wide license with, and so the idea here is to pilot that at the beginning of the year, that wellness check-in with the high school, and then if it goes well, we'll tweak it and then work down to the younger grades. The other great thing about ABRE or the wellness check is that they have the ability to connect each kid with what's called a wellness advisor. And so that at the high school, that'll be the Rambell teacher to start with. Okay, so that Rambell teacher will be able to access that child's survey results and to help closely monitor. So we've got more adult eyes on what's happening with our kids. And then finally at the high school, we've got our curriculum. This is newly adopted this year. We're about to implement it. It's called Character Strong. It's a great, real accessible, both for teachers and students, program, and they will access that weekly in Rambell during our 30-minute extended Rambell each Tuesday. So we're very excited to roll that out. And then we've got some, various special awareness initiatives. Hope Squad has been at the high school for 2 years, I believe. We're going to continue with that. We do already have the license in place for that. And then Hope Squad started at the middle school level last year. So we'll be in year 2 of the Hope Squad at the middle school. And Hope Squad really focuses on suicide prevention and awareness. And very excited about at the high school, our counselors, Angie and Brittany, are actually going to lead those kids in that group to build lessons that they're going to go into our Rambells once per quarter and actually do some outreach with our kids. So it's kids talking to kids about the stuff that matters. And then second step, K through 8, there is a bullying awareness and prevention. There's bullying awareness and prevention curriculum within it. And so they access that. They have different lessons that they've chosen to focus on throughout the school year. What's that? Right. And so a lot of the research coming out and even anecdotal shows us that these kids need more than just sitting in there and learning the math, that's all great, but they need more. And so we're finally putting a lens on it and actually being active and intentional about it. So we're really excited about what we've got going here. Here's some basic numbers. Once again, 20 to 30 minutes per week of focused social emotional learning for every kid in the district. We are shooting for, we've talked about one-to-one in technology for years. Awesome. Now we're talking one-to-one in terms of wellness. One-to-one in terms of wellness. How powerful is that for every kid who walks into every one of our buildings to have an adult that they know they can count on? That's huge. And so that's our goal to start to build this year. 2,811 students. That was the count as of yesterday, I believe. We'd like to prepare them with a social and emotional toolkit to face any of the challenges, any of the adversity that they're going to encounter as they go through our ranks. And then finally, the ultimate goal is to have 0 community crises. 0. We don't want to lose a kid. We don't want to have any issues. 0 community crises. And we believe that this platform can help us achieve that. And briefly, how am I doing on time? All right. I won't go into this. I know there may be some data folks in the audience. Not typically. I know Mr. Schnell is loving this. High quality student data is an important component of the OTES, which is the new, it's not real new, but OTES 2.0 is in its second year. It's the teacher evaluation system in Ohio. Okay, so high quality student data. The goal of high quality student data is to give teachers the power to pick data sets that help show where their students are, and then it asks them how they're using that data to inform their instruction. And so with 2.0, second year, last year was kind of a free pass with it, given that it was the first year that it was rolled out. But this year it's for real. And we are going to focus a lot of our energy, especially in professional development, on making sure our teachers understand how to use high quality, or how to choose high quality student data, and then how to use it. There's another quote there. Somebody a lot smarter than me. And so that's our goal. Use the data to inform what we do to make it better. And there's some bullet points there. First, we start with choosing it, because we do have the power individually as educators to choose which data we're going to use. And then, more importantly, figure out how we're going to use that data to make strides forward with every one of our students. And then finally, the final focus area of the curriculum department this year is what we refer to as systems optimization. So making sure that we have the processes in place to make sure that our educators are indeed, back to the mission statement, empowered to educate our children academically, socially, and emotionally. And this is one of my favorite concepts here: the seeds that we water are the seeds that grow. And we know that everything we focus on, where we focus our time and energy, is what's ultimately going to improve. And so this includes, obviously, the what, the academic content, the social emotional learning content, assessment, the who, administration, teachers, staff, students, community, and the how, which is critically important: the time, the money, the guidance, and the protocol and policy that we put in place as a department and as a school district. I'll leave you with this. These are some of the big ideas. I've moved offices, and I'm talking, my old office was from here to that wall and maybe to Mr. Kleinfelder. Not a lot of room. Now I've got a little more space over there, which includes a nice shiny whiteboard right in front of me. And so what I've started to do is to actually, when I get an idea, I go to that whiteboard and I write it on the whiteboard. And then every time I look up, I see it. And so these are some of the things, and I just want to give you a snapshot. Nothing obviously promised here. Some of the things that we are looking at as a curriculum department. First of all, early access. We went through some of our gifted data from the state report card this past year. By and large, very good data. But we've identified a couple of key areas that we need to work on. And I think it starts with pre-K access to learning materials. Gifted education, identification and service, looking at hosting a family night, and starting a gifted collaborative. And there are a couple of examples of that in the general area of where that's been very successful in helping guide the improvement of that gifted instruction. And then finally, health and wellness. We had a great health and wellness fair a couple of years ago, and how many times did you hear this? Pre-pandemic, we had this going, the wheels fell off, and we haven't done it since. And so our goal is to restart a health and wellness fair for our community and make sure our students are involved. So I think the previous one, it was mostly focused on staff, which is awesome, but we want to make sure we're also reaching our students and their families. Starting a community alliance, and then really, really honing in on some of the prevention initiatives that we know we need to start to avoid the next vaping pandemic, to avoid the next thing coming down the pike that our kids are going to jump on because they don't know any better. We want to make sure we're getting ahead of that. And so, yeah, those are some of the big ideas, and we're really excited to get to work this year. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
All right. Mr. Kleinfelder, do you have any questions for Jake?
Not at this time.
Jake, with the Aubrey, you referenced trying to reach kids that wouldn't normally go talk to an adult. Do they have evidence that the kid that wouldn't normally approach a teacher with an issue or something like that, but they're willing to click that emoji, you know what I mean?
Yeah, so that wellness check-in, they piloted it last year with a couple of school districts, and so it's a very new tool. But I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
I can't answer that. I would tend to guess that a kid, I mean, you know, with the prevalence of social media and the willingness to type something, to hit send, et cetera, rather than going and talking to somebody face to face, I don't know.
Yeah.
I would think it's worth a shot, you know.
I think
And
it's another resource for
Yes.
kids and teachers.
Yeah, and maybe
Sure.
it starts a conversation.
Right.
Sure.
Maybe it segues right into a conversation. So, and we've already got it, and so we're just going to work. And that's one of the goals of the optimization of resources, using the stuff we've already got instead of out there searching for something that costs money, costs time, costs energy. We're going to use what we've got.
Sure. Thanks.
Heather, do you have anything?
I have more for later, but if we identify a student, do we have the staff for it? And then do we have a safety plan to identify, you have an XY situation, like we're gonna do this needs evaluation at Children's, or we need to call family, like we have, I mean, you collect data.
Right.
I mean, I've been staffing
Nothing.
or no person
Right.
to can't manage the data, so if we identify them, what do we do with them?
Right, right, and I would, and Dr. Kunkel will probably jump in on this. You know, we're staffed. I mean, we're short in some areas, but I can tell you that with that escalation process, you know, we've got trauma-informed care processes in place. We've got plans in place to make sure that our kids get what they need, and we would tap right into those processes. We still have counselors in every building, thankfully. We have school psychologists scattered throughout the district, and so we would have at least that first step in place.
So just to piggyback, and that's a great question, Heather. So Callis Counselor, we partner with, so they have trained therapists that can help help those children. But Steve and I are going to put a safety committee together. That's our plan this school year, is to have a comprehensive plan when, if a suicide or some tragedy happens, we have a plan in place. So that's going to take some time, but again, it's timing. We'll get there.
Amy?
Thanks, Jake. I can definitely tell that, you know, we're investing in the whole child here. And I also appreciate the big picture thinking, and just kind of like the initiatives and ideas that you have. One question I do have is, with this curriculum, is it accessible for families? Is it accessible for like students where they can access it at home? Is it just something that's strictly here at school, like through Panorama?
So Panorama, we're using just for the assessment. They do have the ability, I believe, to have those results available for parents, so that the families get a picture of where they are. I believe, if I'm not mixing up because we've gone through the gamut of companies. So the goal, one of my goals over the next couple of weeks, is to get a statement out to the community, to our school community that has all this information. What's accessible, what's going to be, you know, within the school building, how we're going to communicate throughout the process. The second step in the Character Strong, I'm not sure on that. I would imagine that it can be. It's not under lock and key, or at least some components of it.
Okay. Okay,
Right.
thank you.
Thank you. The special awareness programs, vaping awareness and prevention. Have we always had a program at the middle school, or is that fairly new?
That is new this year.
Okay,
That's new this year, and it's embedded in the classroom.
right.
And that's just a response to what we're dealing with.
Right.
I mean, shoot, yeah, all over the place. But no, that is embedded in the curriculum, and that is a direct offshoot of Holly Vining working with the middle school FCCLA and some of the research that they did in their PBL projects.
Right.
And so they actually had a hand in designing that curriculum. That's an in-house curriculum.
Right.
And so we're gonna roll with that this year, and it's
Yep.
something. So
Any other questions? Nope. Thanks, Jake.
thank you.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Jake.
thank you.
Okay, we'll move to executive session. Mr. Frazier, will you give the reason, please, and the code? Yeah, we'll do that. Yeah, go ahead.
We'll be going into executive session for personnel reasons, ORC Code Section 3313.17-1-04.2.
Can we get a first for that? Mr. Chanel, can we get a second, please?
Second,
Mrs. Webb, could you call the roll, Mr. Frazier?
Mr. Van Winkle.
Yes.
Mrs. Webb.
yes.
Mr. Kleinfelder. Mrs. Hayes. Mr. Schnell.